Oh, what a moment that was in Houston. Sam Sloman winning the division for the Tennessee Titans against the Texans. One of the iconic moments. We could go on for hours of the iconic calls from the voice of the Titans, Mike Keith on Titans Radio. Brad Hopkins, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, Ramon Foster with us, as well as we are pleased to be joined by the next voice of the Vols, Mike Keith. Mike, congratulations, first and foremost. What an amazing announcement and just so exciting. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. How are things 24 hours after the announcement went public?
It's been really nice. People have been very kind, and I'm just sort of overwhelmed to know where to start to say thank you. The only thing I know is just to express my appreciation that people have chosen to be kind about what our group was able to do over the last 27 years in Nashville, and what the excitement is ahead for what we're going to try to put together in Knoxville. And again, I don't have the proper words, which is kind of ironic because I talk for a living, but I don't have the proper words to express the gratitude that I have on behalf of myself and my family for all the kindness that we've experienced over the last almost 24 hours for sure.
Mike, man, it's Ramon here. I appreciate you, bringing me under your wing on this Titans radio conquest we went on, man. And to be the voice of the Vols right now, what kind of dream was it for you to be in this position, to actually have it presented to you after Bob said he was stepping down, that it became real to you, that it was a real possibility?
Well, I had sort of put it away in my mind many years ago that this would just not happen, and that was great, and that was okay, and I loved what I was doing, and we were totally happy with where we were, and you think of your family in moments like this, because there would have been moments where if I had gotten this call, I just would have had to say no thank you because my kids were in high school, or my wife had a job that she really enjoyed, or I was at a point in a contract that I couldn't leave. There are always life things that come up, and it just seemed like that was not going to happen. And I was totally thankful for what I had and where I was, and I had absolutely no problems with it. I loved working for the Tennessee Titans, and I hope people think that I poured my heart into it with all I had every single day. And then 2 years ago, I kind of had a bit of an awakening when I went through some stuff with my dad. I told the story to Brent Hubbs on VolQuest that in watching the Tennessee-Alabama game in 2022, while my dad was in the hospital, I was really filled with a lot of different things that I hadn't felt in a long time. Just seeing the stadium from afar and just remembering all my experiences and seeing the students and a great football game. And my brother Bo took my nephew Will to the game, like my dad would take me and my brother Bo to the games. And so there are all these things that happened. And when I left the hospital that day, I just remember thinking, if they ever do call, I think I would be really interested in listening, because this is, all the experiences that I had growing up came flooding back at a moment in life. And honestly, I took it as a God thing, just to share with the audience. I did. And so they called, and they made it very clear what they were looking to do. The thing about the University of Tennessee right now, and it's the university as a whole, including the athletic department, is they want to be great in everything. They want to win in everything. And from the students to everybody else involved. And that's what's really special about what's happening at Tennessee in 2025. And they knew what their plan was. And I was thrilled to hear what they thought, because Alicia Longworth was my contact on all this, along with Steve Early from the Vol Network. And they said, this is what we want to do, and we think you can be a part of it. They said, we'd like for you to be a part of the team. And so as Michelle and I weighed it, and it just happened to be at a moment in our life where things opened up from a business standpoint, from a personal standpoint. We thought a new adventure would be exciting. And I thought, when we really went through all of this is something I want to do. I've described it to friends as, some people want to hike the Appalachian Trail, and some people want to jump out of an airplane and, see the 7 wonders of the world, or the 8 wonders, and whatever it is. Was it Andre the Giant, the 8th wonder of the world? Anyway, but you know what I mean. For me, I have some of those things that I want to do, but at the same time, as I listened to this, and as we talked, and as it became apparent that it could make sense from every standpoint, I just thought, I want to do this. I want to go try this. I want to experience this. I want to be a part of this. And it came from, the kid who grew up loving it so much, but it also came from the fact that they provided a very clear roadmap to how they see it and how they believe we can execute this thing. And it's exciting. It's an exciting challenge that will be there in a lot of different ways. The Vol Network isn't broken, don't get me wrong. It's not about that. It's just things, of course, in 2025 go in different directions from a media standpoint, and from everything you're doing, and how they see things going forward with the SEC network, and things that I've always been very interested in from a business standpoint, that I've read a lot about, and been involved in some of those conversations at times with the Titans. But that part of it has always fascinated me, and I think we're going to be able to do some really fun things. And just to end this 8-hour-long answer, I'm excited to work with the students. I was a student who grew up in that program. Will knows what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. They've always had a place where students have had the ability to grow, get real world experience, and be out there. And Vols help Vols. I mean, Vols help Vols all over. When you go to Tennessee, there are always people out there who are willing to help you all over the world, no matter what you do. But in broadcasting, I think we have a unique ability to continue to draw the top talent. And, if you're considering going to Tennessee for this today, come on, because we've got a plan.
Awesome stuff. Voice of the Titans, voice of the Vols, Mike Keith, our guest here this morning. Ramon, you got one more?
No. I will be long-winded. You guys go ahead. I'll talk to Mike on the side.
So
this is big.
All right. I'm coming from a different space, Mike. I'm actually ticked off at you.
Okay.
When I left the organization in 2005, there were a lot of familiar faces that were in the building. And I remember being sad when Jeff was let go, because he was the only head coach other than Jack Party that I knew for my 13 seasons here as Titans. Us coming to Nashville started in Knoxville. We were playing a preseason game against the Washington Redskins. Yes, the Redskins, as offensive as that might sound. Exactly. When they broke the news to us to start looking for real estate in Nashville. You were there from the very beginning. We crossed paths every day for 8 years. And you were the only voice that ever was speaking about the Titans nationally as the games developed that I ever knew, that anyone ever knew as Titans. So I'm mad that you're leaving. I'm obviously very well wishing of your success, because I know what a consummate professional you are, and I know that you're going to do an excellent job, and what an incredible replacement you'll be. And the Vols are getting the best, but I'm going to miss you, and I'm mad at you.
Thank you, I think. I mean, this is the first day since I was 30 years old that I haven't worked for that organization. I mean, it is really strange. I told Jim Wyatt yesterday, I have had, it's really been the strangest set of emotions I've ever had in my entire life, because there is a profound sense of excitement and there's a profound sense of sadness. Because man, I was all in from the first minute I got there. From May 26, 1998, I was excited to be back in my hometown. I was honored to be part of an NFL franchise. I wanted to see us do well. I wanted to see this get established in a way that people would feel it as part of their lives. And so even as we've been through some of these difficult circumstances, and as I was listening on the radio the other day to people being, upset about various things, with Rand being fired and what all was going on, I would always have to tell myself in those moments, dude, there was a time nobody cared. When we first got here, it'd be like the Titans or the Oilers did this, and people would be like, what? Who? And now people care to the point that it's deep in their passion in that way. And I've always been thankful that it has taken hold in that way, and that I got to be one of those people on the ground floor who helped spread that message. Wasn't just me, and I wasn't the biggest one and whatever, but I'm forever proud that I was standing in the parking lot with Mr. Adams on November 14th, 98, when he announced the name, and when we did the logo reveal on December 22nd, 1998, and when we unveiled the jerseys on April the 4th, 1999, and, opened the stadium and all of those sorts of things. And then to the moments of today that have been exciting over the last few years. I mean, I'll be forever thankful for that. I was asked by a friend on another interview, was this an easy decision? Absolutely not. It was not an easy decision. It's been gut-wrenching. But there are moments in your life you just say, I got to let somebody else take the wheel and let the big man guide me. And, then there are obviously business considerations that go into it, things that are outside of, outside of what you want them to be necessarily. They're just going to go how they're going to go, and you make a decision about which path you choose to take. And at this moment, I think the path was pretty clear, and I'm very excited about what's going to happen, but I'm not ever going to lose this place in my heart, because, and I know that a lot of times, Brad, it's corny to people that you're as into it as what you are, like I am. I mean, I used to get teased a lot when I was a kid because I was so excited about Tennessee. People made so much fun of me growing up because I was so into the VOLS, and I lived and died with the VOLS. And I've been the same way with this team. I mean, last Sunday, I threw it all out there last Sunday. We gave everything we had on the last Brian Callahan show, and with everything we did, I'm really proud of the group of people that I work with, Jack Mummert, Max Walsh, Paige Porter, and obviously Amy Wells and Ashley Farrell, that, we poured everything we had into the TV shows and everything, even during a lousy season. But that level of commitment never waned. And I hope for the people who are disappointed in me, and I understand, I hope they understand and do believe, even if they're disappointed, that I gave them everything I had every single day. That's all I can lean on right now at this moment for those people who I love dearly. It's also why the announcement was not on Wednesday, because I was not messing up or overshadowing, at least, the 25th anniversary of the Music City Miracle. No way, no chance that was happening, because that's their moment. That's your moment, Brad. And that belongs to the fans, and everybody had a chance to have a lot of fun watching some great stuff that day.
Got to be honest, Mike, I didn't think it was going to be this hard to talk to you, so I got to end it on a lighter note. I'm excited to hear you talk about the hardwood, bro. I'm excited to hear you talk about Chaz Lanier and Ziegler and Meshack and all these cats that, that we watch, on the Vols basketball network. And, I know you're multidimensional, but all I've ever heard you talk about was the gridiron. So I got to be honest, man. I'm excited to hear you turn the page and do, show all of your talents.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to do basketball, and that was one of the parts of this professionally that was really interesting. Is that I was, I said, is basketball part of the proposition? They're like, yes, and I said, great, because I'm a huge basketball fan. I'm a crazy basketball fan. My real interest early on in Tennessee was about basketball, because the basketball at that time was actually much better than the football. And going to Stokely Athletic Center, my family lucked into tickets on the second row, right behind where the team ran out of the tee. And there was a giant tee that there was, that they would put paper on. They would do spotlights, and the guys would run through the giant tee when they were introduced. And that was a source of excitement. It always has been. When I talked to Rick Barnes on this radio station last year, when I was telling Bob Kessling he was being put into the Radio Hall of Fame, I said, please get the guy from Nashville. And I was talking about Chaz Lanier. I don't think he liked that very much, but I really wanted Chaz Lanier, and I'm glad he got that done. So I'm going to have to spend a lot of time getting my basketball up to speed. It is something that I've done before. I was Kessling's backup for multiple years doing Lady Vols. I've done basketball on television. It's a game that I've worked and that I love very much, but there are nuances that I've got to master, and that's why I'm starting the job on Monday, because I'm going to bunker in on working on basketball and asking a lot of questions.
Voice of the Tennessee Volunteers, Mike Keith, joining us this morning on Arcade Dub. First and foremost, big congratulations, Mike. This is so awesome, and excited to listen to you in the college ranks now. What do you think will be the biggest difference, going from calling games and working with NFL athletes to now the college game and one of the best teams and programs in the country?
That's funny, because, Kayla, they get paid now too.
Yeah.
So I think coming in at a time like this, the judgment of college athletes is going to be different as we continue to evolve, because they're paid to play football now. And that's vastly different. It's like my whole world has been turned upside down in the last 5 years, because, first of all, gambling became legal, and we were always told, every contract I had with the Titans, like, the first 6 pages were, you will not bet on football. You will not talk about betting on football. You will not talk about odds on betting on football. You will not talk to people who bet on football, or talk about betting on football, or talk to people who bet on football. And now, I was broadcasting TV shows out of the BetMGM studio for the Titans. So that was a real wow. The world turned. And then the other part of it is, now, for you, when I covered it, it's like, oh gosh, these are student athletes, and they are, and now they're paid to play ball. They're paid to play football and baseball and basketball and volleyball, and it happens all over sports. And so it's quite different. So I'm going to be interested to see what that's like. I'm interested to spend a lot of time with Josh Heupel and, figure out differences in the game as you kind of watch all of that. I've never been the guy who tells you about cover zero or, 3-by-1. I played football. I do know what those things are, but that's not been my bailiwick. I've not been interested. I've had people who were better at that than I am. And so I've tried to stay in a lane and give that other person a lane. And are those lanes different in doing a college broadcast? And I'm interested to find out. I mean, that's part of between basketball and the difference in the college game. The uniqueness of the challenge is appealing because, Kayla, it's scary. I knew the product that I was going to deal with every week, and while there were things that you wanted to do differently and you respected the task, you understood what the task was because you had been around the game for a long time, and you knew how to prepare for it. I'm going to have to learn a whole new thing, and that's scary. I think scary is good. I think you've got to be scared some in your life, and especially in broadcasting. So I'm very interested in that.
Mike, when you think about your time with the Tennessee Titans and Oilers, when it's all said and done, what would you be most proud of?
I'm most proud that I got to work with people who took something that was really doubted when we started. Really doubted. And that it's such a major force in this entire region that it's important to not only people in Nashville and Middle Tennessee, but it's important to people in Memphis and all over Western Kentucky and all over Northern Alabama and Chattanooga and Knoxville and all the way to the Tri-Cities. We work to make the NFL a part of people's sports weekends. That was the overriding goal, to give them NFL experiences in what they did. Now, Brad Hopkins sitting there is the biggest reason that it worked, because he and Steve McNair and Eddie George and Samari Rolle and Javon Kearse and on and on and on, they gave us a great football team that gave us the greatest 22 days in sports history to this point. It'll happen again. But if you experience January 8th, 2000 through January 30th, 2000, there was nothing like that. It was so magical. So we had a ton of help, but there were a lot of people who were committed just at its base level. No matter how silly it sounds, it's like we needed to make Sundays as important as Friday nights and Saturdays. That was the goal. And I think we did that. And we did that on our end through great radio stations who chose to carry and promote the games. We did it through TV programming, doing it through podcasts now. But we went to the fans where they were, and we said, would you please be a fan of the Tennessee Titans? Wasn't social media, nothing wrong with social media, I'm for it, but it was about going out and just saying, hey, much like a candidate would say, would you vote for me, please? We went out and said, hey, give us a chance. And people gave us that chance. And Brad Hopkins and company came through for us in a big way, and now it's a part of people's lives. And as somebody who grew up in Franklin, Tennessee, to see people like pumping gas last night, I look around and 5 different people have on Titans gear. That makes me very proud. It makes me very proud that I was a part of that group of men and women who were involved on the ground floor of that, and who really believed it could work. Because I'll tell you, Kayla, when I took this job in spring of '98, people thought I was foolish, especially when John Ward quit 8 days after I took the job. They thought, man, you have really screwed up. And I never believed that. I believed I was meant to be here to be part of something, And I was very proud to represent the Adams family in that way. It meant everything to me. And it still does, even though the times are dark at this moment. I get it. They won't always be. The Titans will come out of this, and the fan base will be rewarded with something much greater, as they go forward by hanging in there, much like the Vol fans had to do. You know, the Tennessee fans went through darkness, and now people are being rewarded with a lot of fun. And following the Titans is fun. Following a pro team is fun. Following this offseason is going to be fun. The number one pick. You know, it comes around, and it's certainly going to come around again for those people who are so loyal. So to the great Titans fans, I just say one more time, thank you very much.
Well, Mike, I know I speak for so many Titans fans to say you have been synonymous with football in this state. And the soundtrack of so many iconic moments. And, you know, for myself as a lifelong fan, and I know my generation of fans, Mike, that have grown up only knowing Nashville as a pro sports city. You've been the sounds of so many formative moments and so many families' football memories. And I know that's something you cherish and is so special. And the team of people that you all have had, you only get to build something from the ground up so many times in your career, and the brand of what Titans radio is that echoes across the Mid-South, Mike. I know you are so proud, and so many people are so proud of the brand of you all have created, not only for this team, but for Titans radio specifically. So I have no question other to say thank you, and you played a major part in making Tennessee Titans football cool for so many different people, so many different families and generations. We can't thank you enough, Mike.
Oh, you're very kind to say that. I'm very appreciative that you would put it in that way, because that was the ultimate goal when we started, and it was the goal even as late as Monday when we were wrapping up the season. And how you put it was quite eloquent and most appreciated. Thank you.
Mike, there's only one thing I can say about your move to Knoxville. There are no flags on the field.
Well, there's only one thing I can say about that. Go Vols.
I love it.
Awesome,
Absolutely awesome. Mike, we are so excited for you. We are so excited to listen. The VOT V. Voice of the Vols, Mike Keith, joining us this morning.
Hey, Mike, I got one more. I got one more before we go.
Okay.
All right. So, of course, with you being as big as you are as a personality, you've been the voice of the Titans for a while, and that place is voided right now. There'll be a lot of candidates, I'm sure. I'm not sure if you'll have any say-so in it whatsoever, but for somebody that's taking on that job, it's one of 32. We always say that when it comes to jobs in the NFL, it's one of 32. So it's very important. What advice would you give the next person that's got to fill in for your landmark that you put there? Like, I saw somebody in chat say it needs to be the Mike Keith broadcasting booth. Like, those are big shoes, Mike. What solid advice would you give to the people who are calling the Tennessee Titans that want that advice, that wants that job? I mean,
You're going to have to bond with the fans immediately. You're going to have to go where they are, and you're going to have to spend time with them and just understand what's important to them. I think the biggest thing Titans radio did right is I think we've always given the fan base what they're interested in. And that is from draft coverage to preseason to how Titans Countdown is done, which was a totally different pregame show at the time we started doing it. We've changed things constantly over the years, but it was always about going to the fans and giving them what they want. Whomever gets that job, it's a great job, and if they will just meet the fans where they are in everything they do, they will be totally successful, because that fan base will embrace and support you and give you confidence even when you don't have confidence in yourself.
Good advice.
Mike Keith, we're honored to have this conversation with you this morning, Mike. We appreciate the time so much, and we are so excited for you. Really appreciate it, and go Vols as well.
Go Vols.
Go Vols for sure. See you guys.
There he
Mike.
is, the voice of the Vols, Mike Keith, joining us here this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. And thank you, Ramon, coming off vacation to talk to the VOT. Talk to the VOT team.
Pretty cool.
Thank you, Ramon. Appreciate you. We will get a break. We'll get you some headlines. We'll get you started close here. Final hour coming up.